Looking at some common reasons why your previously working Speed Clean washing machine stopped working. The most common problem with these would be a failure in the door lock system. First thing I would check would be the door lock board itself, and specifically RT1. Go ahead and give it a light poke with a plastic pen and see if the disc falls out of the center. If it does, go ahead and repair or replace the board. After that, you're going to want to move on to checking the door switches. With an ohm meter, you should be getting 0 resistance across these switches. If you have anything above like 0.2, this machine is not going to work. After that, make sure the door latch is working properly. When you latch the door, it should depress this plunger all the way. If you shut and latch the door and this piece does not move and depress the plunger, the little tab right here probably got bent, and you can just pry it back out with a flathead screwdriver. After you verified all that, if the machine still won't start when you put money in it and it says run, you can try the manual switch here. If that works and it starts the machine no problem, you most likely have a failure in your accumulator board on the coin drop, and you can go ahead and replace that. If the machine will not start either way with the manual switch or the coin drop, go ahead and put money in here, get it to say run, and while it still says run, come over here and force the latch shut. If you do that and the machine starts and runs no problem, you have a failure in the door lock solenoid. Go ahead and replace that. If the machine won't drain, generally you have a physical blockage in the line. Because when these machines have no power, the drain valve opens up. It takes power to keep it shut. So you can either power off the machine, you can pull the 2 wires off the back of the motor and it should drain. If that still won't drain, unfortunately you're going to have to just start pulling the hoses off and look for a blockage further down the line. If your machine is not spinning, you can check the contactors. You have 1 or 2 or 3 of these depending on the model. Some of them have 2 for low speed, some of them have 1 that just switches directions. But either case, depress them manually while the machine is powered and verify that the motor's spinning up. If it only spins on 1 contactor and not the other, you either have a dead high or low speed on the motor or a faulty contactor. You can either replace the contactor to verify, or if you have the same model machine sitting right next to the machine in question, you can disconnect the motor and hook the motor up to that machine and use that known running machine to verify that the motor in your questionable machine does in fact work. If the machine is not filling, it's usually just a problem with the water valves. One, you want to make sure you have the correct voltage in here. Tan is 220, blue is 120. The water valves and the drain valve are generally the same voltage, so if you can't read one, check the other. They should be the same thing. You can check for resistance across each individual solenoid. You should be getting somewhere around 5 ohms. If you're getting 0 or infinite, the solenoid has failed. You need to replace it. You can also have problems with either the diaphragms or the pistons inside these. Go ahead and take them apart. Make sure the diaphragms aren't overly bloated and expanded or just dry and brittle and ripped apart. And same with the pistons. It's a metal piston with a little rubber head on it. You want to make sure that the rubber head is about that size. If it's much smaller or overly swollen, it's going to interfere with the water valve opening and closing properly. Those are the most common problems on this machine.